Oh, and there's a countdown. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kip. You're watching Car Chat with Kip and Lainey, which is wrong direction. Gotta get it right over there. We are. I know it's all like backwards. There we go. Yeah. All right. So happy to have. Oh, and there's
Hi, baby.
Hi,
there's
Mom.
my beautiful wife there. Anyways, Car Chat with Kip.
Are you ready available to listen for Aiden? Yeah, he's
still
awake. Oh, hey.
Right. You can go up and do it. You need to. Hi.
Hi,
No, I'm
baby.
good. I just need to listen. So.
All right.
Oh, are you doing something right now? Yeah. Are you like online?
Yeah, no, I just need to listen. I'm good.
Oh.
We're good.
So you just can hear out for Aiden. He's awake.
Car Chat with Kip and Lainey tonight. We are going to go through the news stories that we have, and then we will. Oops, let me get rid of that big old. Not that banner. We don't want that one either. There we go. All right.
Don't forget to update them on the Equinox.
Yeah, it's gonna do that.
Okay, good.
Jeez.
Good.
Can't do anything. All right. Quick update on channel, Facebook, and all that stuff. Not much has changed on the Facebook, which is all right for right now. YouTube channel, we are up by about 25 subscribers. Went over to a channel that Jason and Grant on their live stream highlighted, and got quite the boost there. Hey, Trucker Dave, thanks for being in the chat. So our first story tonight, as you see here, is seized Shelby Mustang counterfeiter collection up for grabs.
I can't see anything.
You can't see anything. Okay.
I just
That's
see
because I didn't do the screen right. There we go. Get all excited when I have a co-host. I can't even remember what I'm doing. All right. Anyways, so counterfeiter Shelby Mustangs. I never even knew that counterfeit cars were a thing. So learned something tonight. Apparently, in Oklahoma, Pottawatomie County.
Probably Potawatomi.
Sure, we'll go with that. Oklahoma. District attorney is auctioning off 6 Mustangs that were seized from an Oklahoma lawyer, Kermit Milburn, who was accused of creating knockoff Shelby Mustangs, tampering with Mustang VINs, and knowingly try to pass them off as legit Shelbys. Ouch. Just after being served with a search warrant in 2016, Milburn committed suicide. Okay. He must have known he was doing something wrong. So there's 2 Boss 302s, 2 GT500 convertibles, but they don't know whether they're actual legit Shelbys or not, because they wear state assigned VINs rather than the official Ford VIN. But they all have, as it says here, their own Marty report, which for you, Delaney, a Marty report is a report that you can send away for. You give this company the Marty report your VIN number, and then they'll give you all the information about your car, when it was built, all the factory options, how rare it is, all that sort of stuff.
So like Carfax.
Yes, but specifically to old Fords. And it doesn't do stuff like whether it's crashed or not. And then the other was a 2006 that has the original VIN but is salvaged. So let's take a look through the pictures of the cars. There's a 70 Shelby GT500 convertible, which if that's not an original, the guy knew what he was doing, because that's a pretty good looking car.
It went in the water, but it hit it so hard.
70 Boss 302, which is, again, another really good looking car. And I'm not a big fan of the 70 Mustang. There's the other Boss 302.
That's how you know it's fake.
Yeah, right. The salvage titled Ford Mustang GT 2006. And then they've got project cars, this 70 GT500 convertible, and another 70 Mustang convertible project. So those are the 6 cars. And since the gentleman who owned them, or supposedly was counterfeiting them, offed himself, all the money that is going for the sale of these cars is going to the district attorney's office. So they might make out with some money.
Turn yourself in.
Wow, you're making some noise over there.
That's our alarm system.
Oh, okay. We're good.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, so all I can say is that they're nice looking cars. So if you're right and he did counterfeit, I mean, if they were counterfeited, you're right, he did a really good job with them. But if not, they're just really decent looking cars.
Yeah. And again, I'm not a huge fan of the 70 Mustangs or Shelbys, but they're not bad looking right there. Anyway, so Classic Ride Society, how's that help if, well, it's not technically a fake VIN because he got the state to assign, VINs to the cars. So I'm not sure. Oh, Marty is a real guy. Okay, I thought it was Marty. The Marty report was like a company that I didn't realize it was one guy that that did it all himself. So, oh, good to know. Thanks, Benny. Appreciate that. Let's see. Let's say 18,000 is a bid so far on the Mustang, the Shelby convertible.
I think that red one's my favorite.
That one,
This
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that is a really nice red color.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give any money totals on the other cars, but yeah, that's kind of a interesting yellow. I don't know if you call it a yellow, but anyway.
Say mustard.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Not a, the newer Mustangs, it's kind of a, take it or leave it sort of a thing. I don't really care much about it, but
that blue one's nice, even though it's just like half made.
Well, I mean, yeah, you finish it out and you've got a really good looking car. What's his name? Richard Rawlings, who does Fast and Loud TV show. He has, I don't believe his is an authentic GT500 convertible either, but he did one up that's kind of like an off-road version. It's lifted up. It's got some bigger tires and stuff, so definitely looks cool. All right. Enough about the forfeit or counterfeit Mustangs. Let's move on to the Silverado Jackal. And apparently they're calling this the Raptor's worst nightmare. Just to start off, hey, Impact's Garage and Gaming, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. This is not an official Chevy product. This is an aftermarket company. Yeah, so this is, what is it called? PAX Power is making these things. And take a moment to go over. And Benny's saying that counterfeit muscle cars isn't a new thing. It's been going on for quite a while. Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me. I think the thing that really surprised me about that story was that the guy actually got caught. But yeah, he knew he was doing something wrong. All right, so the Silverado Jackal being made by PAX Power. You can see from the picture there, definitely not your stock looking Silverado. Big old fender flares on the front and rear. And you can get 3 different modification levels, power stages, I guess is what they call them. The entry-level model injects a bit more attitude into the stock Silverado with upgraded upper control arms, King 2.0 2.5-inch front coilovers, and upgraded rear shocks. Go stage 2, and you'll get a modified rear suspension and new steering links and sway bar links on the front. Go stage 3, and it's a 3-inch internal bypass coilover, progressive rate leaf springs, as well as special bumpers, lights, and larger 37-inch off-road tires versus the 35-inch on the other models. Price kicks off at $14,950 for the base, with each additional step costing an additional $10,000.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible depending on what truck you start with. Because if you start out with a higher trim level Silverado to begin with, then you're looking at $60,000 plus another $30,000 if you go all out to stage 3.
Oh, so that's not, they're not making the actual car. This is how much it costs to upgrade it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you start out with your a basic Silverado truck first. Hey, Jason, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you being here. So start out with a stock, regular old Silverado, and then $14,000 gives you that first upgrade level, and then another $10,000 for each of the others till you get up to $34,000 extra on top of the truck. So
okay.
yeah. So if you get a really low level truck to begin with, it couldn't be bad. You're still probably going to be spending $60,000 at the low end, and you could definitely get upwards of 90 to 100 depending on where you go.
You basically need big boy spending money, huh?
Oh yes, this is not a truck that you just go out and buy just because you want a truck. You need some extra dough for it. Yeah, but I do have to say, as far as the Silverado, the new Silverados go, this is one I can say I don't completely hate. I think it looks better with the the fender flares and the blacked out everything, but I still not one of my favorite trucks.
I don't know. It looks a little mean, but it's not. I don't feel like it's anything really special.
Yeah, no. If I were gonna do it, I've never been a Dodge guys, but I do have to say, Hammer Down Motorsports Ram Rebel is one good looking truck. And basically Ram truck that he's lifted and done some other stuff too, Lane. But it really is a nice looking truck. And I'm not a Dodge person. Anyways, that's enough on the Silverado Jackal. Next story, Laney, is going to be you with your $9 million cars from
all right,
Barrett Jackson.
So basically this the story highlights the fact that it has been a rough year and a rough few years in the auction circuit. The highest grossing car in 2019 was believe it was a Ferrari that went for 3.2 mil.
Wow.
And that's out of all the cars that they sold, like the almost 9,000 cars they sold.
Wow.
And the factors that the story cites is that there's a lot of auctions going on, and so there's a lot of flow, which then, because there's an influx of auctions, there's not the scarcity needed to drive up prices.
Yep.
So basically, it's just not been a good year for them because of that. So
and it's a really good point, is you can go pretty much any corner of the country now, and there's some sort of collector car auction going on. I mean, there's one in Connecticut now. There's Florida's got a couple. Then you go out to the big ones out west, Scottsdale and Monterey and all that stuff. And yeah, there's too much going on now, and there's so many great cars that are coming out of the woodworks that it really kind of doesn't surprise me. It's going to take a really unique car to bring up those prices. And I think that's why the Bullet Mustang, the one that's on the top here, I think that's why you're not going to see a whole lot bigger prices. The only reason that Mustang got the big bucks is the fact that was the movie car from Bullet that Steve McQueen drove.
Yeah.
But
and the thing is with everything in life, there needs to be at least a sense of scarcity.
Yeah.
Because that's what drives demand, which then drives increase in the money. But by having basically an auction in every
Yeah.
but it's not the same anymore, because people are not going to go to every auction, or if they do, they're not going to have as much to spend. So
yeah, there's definitely a lot of options out there for the buyer nowadays, and that definitely hurts the prices. There are going to be some cars that are continue to sell for big money, like the low production rare Ferraris and whatnot, but everyday-ish cars like the F-50, I think was what they were saying, was that $3 million car. I mean, yeah, they didn't make a ton of them, but it's also not that scarce of a car compared to some of the other especially older Ferraris. So yeah, good story. I'm gonna hop over to the. Go ahead.
I would say expect for it to get worse.
Until something really special comes out of the woodworks, yeah, I don't think it's not gonna get much better. All right, I'm gonna go head over to the chat for a minute. We got talking about the Jackal that Trucker Dave says that that kind of money you could buy a couple of nice square bodies, which is very, very true. I don't think it's worth not coming direct from GM, says Benny at Classic Ride Society, and that is again very true. If the truck was a GM product, 60 grand, 70 grand, something that puts it on par with the Raptor, people would, I'm sure, go ahead and buy it because competition's good. We got Impact Garage and Gaming. Yep, have a clean, drivable K5. Absolutely. Love those K5s. Can't find clean anything around here that's cheap. Trucker Dave, we're in the Northeast. That is very true. There's nothing clean and cheap around here. That was about 6 to 8 years ago. It's getting harder every day. Oh, yes, Impact. That is absolutely true. Good, clean vehicles, especially in the square body, K5, Suburbans, all that good stuff are. It's hard to find a good one at a decent price. All right, moving on. Gladiators aren't quite as hot as they used to be, and depending on where you are in the country, you can now get up to $9,000 off of a Gladiator. That, I gotta say, surprises me a lot. Doesn't say in the story, what Gladiator sales have been like, but apparently they're not selling terribly well if you can get $9,000 off of a brand new one. Let's see. Jeep brands are up to $9,000 on the pickup. Looks like California is where you get the total deep discount. But you can definitely start off with a $2,000 off MSRP, and bigger savings are dealer by dealer affair. Jeep declined to comment on this story, which is not surprising at all. But they also are giving some really great lease rates. $259 a month with $4 grand down. That's not terrible. Or you get it for $421 per month. Nice. We could almost do that, honey.
What?
Jeep Gladiator for $421 a month.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Cashback. All trims save the Rubicon, including in the savings through February 3rd. So if you guys are in the market for a Gladiator, go ahead and get one soon, because looks like the prices are not that bad. All the hype's gone. Not a real truck. It's got some really good capacity for what it is, and I think it looks good. And I love the fact that you can take the roof off and go off-roading and that sort of stuff in a topless pickup, which is kind of cool for me. But it's definitely, I guess it's hit a lot of people differently, and they don't like it as much as they did early on. So hey, if it makes it easier for me to get one someday soon, I'm all for it.
I still think the ugliest sin.
Uglies. Oh.
Hey, you know what?
What?
You can like what you like, man.
Yeah. She said yes. You've got a witness. There we go. Thanks, Trucker. My wife absolutely would love one of these things. She's seen a lot of them out and about and really likes them. And she didn't get to go on the drive with us when we did the review of it. But it's a good looking truck. Don't worry about it, Trucker Dave. I know people, what do I want to say? Autocorrect doesn't like my name, so no big deal. All right, next story. I don't know how I feel about this, but apparently this is a picture of the baby Bronco that Ford is going to be releasing later this year.
What is it covered in?
Camouflage. Because the car is not officially released, car companies on cars that they're still developing, they'll put the camouflage on, that sort of weird design, so that when people take pictures of it, it's hard for them to distinguish body lines and all that sort of stuff. Like the roof line, that's not where the real roof is. It's probably closer to where this line is, this fabric line. But they make the car look very different than what it really is, just so that nobody really knows what it's going to be until they do the big reveal. But apparently the rumors on the baby Bronco, there are rumors about the name of it. And I'm not sure I'm digging it, just because I know what the Maverick is, and it was not a truck-ish type deal. I mean, the Maverick was one of the best Ford car ever, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Maverick a good name for a baby Bronco? This comes from a new member to the Bronco 6G forum, who goes by the handle Ford Parts Guy, and it says that they were going through the parts spreadsheet, and there's key fobs that all were under the heading of 2020 Maverick. So whether that's real or whether they're trying to throw people off, that's kind of a question. But I'm looking forward to the Bronco, and I'm looking forward to the baby Bronco, the Bronco 2. I think that would be a better name. Well, the Bronco 2 was something they did in the 80s on a smaller version of it. Should be called the Bronco 2. Yes, Benny. Yes. There we go. Yeah, but that's the thing. Companies have a way of bringing back old names and just ruining them. But anyways, that's it on the baby Bronco. And again, the speculation on the big Bronco is that it's going to be debuted at the North American Auto Show, or New York Auto Show, not North American, which is ahead of when it was really speculated at the Detroit Auto Show. So they might be further along on the Bronco and be bringing it out sooner than we think. Trucker Dave, shouldn't be called a Bronco if top don't come off. The full-size Bronco, the roof is removable on the 2-door and 4-door. That's what everything that I've read about it. This thing is definitely looks like it's gonna be just a smaller SUV. I don't think it's gonna have the same sort of capabilities of the big Bronco. But from what I understand, roof, doors, all gonna be able to come off of the big Bronco. All right, now I have talked about Nissan's dire situation in some past, but apparently it's worse than they were saying earlier, because they're now saying that model cuts and layoffs. So that's pretty sad. Not terribly unexpected. Do you like your any Nissans there?
I don't actually see enough of them on the road to say that I like how they look.
Yeah.
That's why it's not surprising to me, because it's not saying no one drives a Nissan, but no one drives a Nissan.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it says right here in this sentence, everything. Troubles aren't a huge surprise since Nissan's profits were down 73% in the first half of its 2019 fiscal year. That's,
first half, yeah.
Yeah, that's saying a lot. And this is not official from Nissan. This is something that Reuters is reporting on. They also aren't saying what models are going to go away, but there's talk that let's see it here. 4,300 white collar jobs are going to be cut. And they're going to be closing their Northwest and Mountain States regional sales office later this year. Does not say how many of the 20,000 U.S. employees it wants to part way with, but for the 4,300 white collar jobs look to be on the way out, which if it goes the way it is, I think I also reported last week on the new Z car that's in the works. I don't know if we'll actually get to see that.
See, and this brings up the point that we made earlier with my auction story.
Yep.
That there are too many choices, and unless they do something that is going to grab people's attention, like wonderful safety ratings or like huge gas mileage or something else, like what car people like, they're not going to sell because there are better options.
Yeah. Well, Nissan's problem, in my opinion, I only worked for them for 6 months, but their problem, runs pretty deep. Their cars aren't great. They're okay, but they aren't great. Their SUVs, the Rogue, and you can remember when we rented that one, it was severely uncomfortable to ride in. The Z cars they weren't that wild looking. They weren't that amazing to look at. So that's not a good thing. And then you got the only car that was really special in Nissan's lineup is the GTR, and that's been out for 14 years, or maybe not that long, but it's been out for a long time.
I think if they really want to make a comeback, they will need to bring back the GTR.
What they need to do is just scrap the crap and really focus on being a performance company, performance brand, Porsche-esque, the Japanese version of Porsche or something. I don't know. Yeah. But all right.
I've got to scoot out for just a second, but I'll be back in like a couple minutes. Okay.
All right.
For my story.
Yeah. Let's see. Feel for the people losing out on this, but hopefully the gap in the market will give our cars a chance to flush. Yeah, I mean, as much as it would, be sad for people, if Nissan, stopped selling in the States, Laney made a really good point. You know, there's too many options for everybody. With the thought of Peugeot coming back to the States, you know, we recently had Alfa Romeo and Fiat come back and all this other stuff. It's just, and yes, yeah, you're right, Trucker Dave. Redesign the GTR and bring it down to a more reasonable price level. You know, and you got an option. If they make the Z car like they're going to, that's more heritage inspired, that would be a great thing. The new Frontier, the redesigned Frontier that's supposed to be coming out soon, that is where they need to focus. You know, the Frontier is a really good selling vehicle for them. That one I know has been 14 to 15 years before, you know, since it was even slightly changed. So focus on the small trucks, and I would even say shrink the Frontier down to what the size was when it first came out. Ditch the Titan. The Titan's just a waste. The Armada is a waste. Maxima, you could still do Maxima, but just give it some really unique design and some really good sports car feel to it, with four doors, and it could do it. Altima, Sentra, I mean, if you're gonna do something, you know, small car like Sentra, you know, bring back the, you know, Sentra, you know, SR, you know, make it a situation where people want to look at Nissan, because right now they just don't.
Yeah. No.
Oh, you're back.
Hi.
All right. Next story. This is one to be up your alley, because I know you are electric friendly.
Yes.
Tesla beats expectations, declares a profit, and has started the Model Model Y production early.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all.
No, Tesla has reported a profit. Yes, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say they're really hot topics. Right?
Yeah, no, they're Tesla's doing real good, and I'm happy to hear that for them. It's good that a car company is doing well. Now, Impact's Garage, you make another really great point. They don't make anything light anymore. Unfortunately, a lot of that is government mandated, because you have to have, you know, all the safety equipment in there. But back to Tesla. They're on track to producing 415,000 cars a year out of their California plant. Model Y production is already ahead of schedule, and they say they are going to be producing limited volumes of the Tesla Semi in 2020.
I don't know.
Excuse me. Year-over-year production of the Model 3, which of course that's going to be the hot ticket item, because it's the least expensive model and it's more attainable for everybody, was up 42%, while the X and S are down 29%. Again, not a big surprise. Model 3 being at the price point that it's at, definitely is, you know, stealing the thunder from the other cars, because you know, 35 grand versus, you know, 60, 80, you know, 100 grand. Yeah. They're also started up production, full production up in their China plant, which is a good thing for them. Just looks like everything's coming up rosy for Tesla at the moment. Oh God, I got a sneeze coming on. Sorry.
You're out of focus.
I'm out of focus.
There you go.
Probably I moved too quick.
Father,
Yes.
do you have any more of the shirts that are new?
I might. Why?
Because Julie wants one.
Okay. Give me this address, and I will.
What's your address?
And size.
And what's your
Yeah.
size?
So for me, I actually am really big into the idea of Tesla. The only thing is that you literally have to shape your life around it.
Yep.
It's not like you can just buy a car and go. Like, you need a charging station, etc. And that's just a lot of work.
Yeah. Yep. That is true. Teslas are definitely more of an urban car.
Yeah.
Because you just don't have the range to do like a trip up here, and in areas like here, the infrastructure for charging is still fairly weak. So yeah, it's definitely a niche market, but I think as more people adopt the ideas and more companies like the Rivian trucks, I don't know if you heard of them. They're supposed to have ranges of 400 plus, which would be
That's about that's over what my Prius can get for with a full tank. So
yeah. So that would be revolutionary.
yeah.
And Trucker Dave, you are right. It's not the greatest if you're in an apartment. Taking Tesla down Windy Mountain Road on autopilot, and it did surprisingly well, but I would not have gotten in it. I agree. Impact's Garage. I don't know. There would have to be a lot more incident-free drives of autopilot for me to want to give up the control of my hands on the steering wheel. I like, even though yes, it probably has the ability to make corrections way quicker than I could. I like to feel like I'm in control.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Trucker Dave, you're also very correct. The cold in this area definitely really limits your range.
And that's a problem that I would need to fix, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know that there's really a good way to fix that, unless you had a really big heater, but then you're wasting a lot of energy from the battery on the heaters to keep the battery warm. So it's really kind of again, I think I said it once before. Great concept. It still needs a bit of tweaking to make it really good.
And then you also have to weigh the price of the electricity you're using versus the price of a gallon of gasoline or whatever.
Well, I do. There is someone at my job who recently got into a Tesla 3, and she says that the cost of their usage of electricity still makes up for the price of gas, not by a lot, but it still does. They're saving money. I'd have to, really see the numbers to make a really good judgment on whether that would be something I'd want to do. But I'm also kind of a fan of the sound of a good old engine. Anyways, enough about Tesla. Lenny, your story about San Francisco. That.
And you'll have to collapse that.
There we go.
All right, so it's a story about there's I don't know if it's historic. There's a street on Market Street where they ban all private-owned vehicles, including Lyfts and Ubers. The only vehicles allowed in, I believe, are like delivery trucks and buses, and obviously like emergency services. But they wanted to make it more pedestrian friendly.
Yep.
And this is not the first time it's been done. Times Square is one, but also a lot of cities in Europe are banning private-owned vehicles. And I think in the coming times we're going to be seeing more of that. And I think it's partially like an environmental thing, but I also think it's a traffic issue that they hope to correct by making public transportation a more viable option.
Yeah, in a lot of the cities, I can see that as being a potential option. But it would have it's definitely only feasible in your large cities. Vermont, we have such a poor mass transit infrastructure. Something like that would yeah, even in, other than Church Street, but that's like 400 feet, 500 feet of road. So that's like nothing compared to
It's 2.2 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not workable in the smaller areas, obviously. But where traffic is so compact, like I could see them probably doing something like that in DC, or doing more streets in New York City, where it's just public transportation.
Yep, that's a definite. And I sorry, I have to laugh just a little bit at Impact Garage's comment there.
It's fine.
But all very valid points on both. I can see especially I'm assuming that Market Street's a fairly big pedestrian area.
Yeah.
So saving the pedestrians from the possibility of getting hit. It's only 2.2 miles, so that's okay. That's a good thing.
Yeah, another thing too is that, like I said, it would probably cut down on traffic a lot. So
Yep.
I can see, like I said, high volume traffic areas implementing something very similar real quick.
Traffic on Market Street is the least of San Francisco's problems.
It's true.
That's true. Yep.
I'm not going to deny that.
They need more people paying to ride their buses, and that is another really big thing is. Then again, I haven't been to any big city, lately to ride a bus, but they need to make buses easier, better scheduling, and more affordable to really get more people to jump on those things. So, all right, enough about San Francisco and its problems. Toyota teases the new Tacoma model on Taco Tuesday. And that's all we get. That's what we get for the tease of the new Toyota Tacoma. The full car is going to be released at the Chicago Auto Show, which is coming up shortly. But they threw out this one little picture, and you
Looks
really
like
can't.
Every other Tacoma I've ever seen.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. So not a whole lot of good stuff there, but all right. Final story for this evening is that it's not just new trucks and SUVs that are really popular. There's also the demand for the classics, and I think we discussed that a little bit earlier about square body Chevys and all this other stuff being hard to find, and that is just truth. Good trucks, these Wagoneers like the one that's on the picture right here. I've heard of some restored Wagoneers selling for as much as new Jeeps, 40,000 or more. So there's definitely a love for them. Let's see that right here. It says 89 Jeep Wagoneer sold at Barrett-Jackson just a week ago for $110,000.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh, that's insane. No, why are we talking about the Mustang? All right, it must be a different thing. 1954 Power Wagon sold for $110,000, which is really insane. 2001 Ford SVT Lightning sold for $42,000, which is just about what they call it. It's brand new. FJ Land Cruisers in the 60,000s. Yeah, so trucks are just
not huge bucks, but still like pretty weighty.
Well, a 1980 Land Cruiser probably sold for the like in the $20,000 range. The SVT Lightning that probably sold for like 30 grand. So not huge money, but I think trucks and early SUVs is where you're going to start seeing to pick up in money, whereas the cars are going to be going down a bit. So, but yep. So that's it. Yeah. If you can get a hold of a decent Wagoneer, fix it up, you definitely have something that's worth getting out there. Yep. Wagoneers are worth big bucks. Don't make them like that anymore. That is very true. And especially when you can get modern powertrains that slide right in, and you can get better fuel economy and more horsepower and all that other good stuff. It's a great time that we're living in. All right. So let's go there. Here we go.
All right.
Yeah. So that's what we got for you tonight, folks. Thanks, Impact Garage, Benny over at Classic Ride Society, and Trucker Dave for being in here. I don't know if Jason's still here or not, but thank you all for coming in. Thank you, Delaney, for hanging out with me for the past hour. Really appreciate you being here.
So I'm sorry I didn't come better prepared this time.
Well, one of your stories we couldn't get into, so that's all right. But it's all good. So we're going to end this story this live stream like we do all of our others. Dreams without ambition is like a car without gas. You're not going to get very far. God bless. Take care. Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
Good night. Bye.